Welcome to Fusion Grade Cooking. In today's show, we're going to talk all about popcorn. We're actually going to pop some popcorn for you. Yes, popping popcorn. It sounds simple, but wait until you see how we do it. We're also going to make a wonderful cornbread made with popcorn, a fabulous chile relleno dish, and to top that off, we're going to finish with a wonderful cracked popcorn salad. So don't go away. You're going to love today's show. Welcome to Fusion Grade Cooking, where we take the foods you eat every day and infuse them with grains to make food that not only tastes great, but it's good for you. Today we're talking about one of my favorite grains, popcorn. And you know, popcorn is actually one of America's favorite snack treats. Popcorn is great, and believe it or not, it's one of the healthiest snack treats out there if it's done right, which we're going to do in today's show. Popcorn dates back nearly 6,000 years. And it was used extensively in the Incan culture. They've actually found where they would put it on strings for their religious ceremonies. And believe it or not, popcorn was America's first breakfast cereal. The early pioneers would pop it and eat it for breakfast cereal. Isn't that amazing? Popcorn is high in fiber, low in saturated fats. It's just absolutely an amazingly nutritious grain for you if it's done right, and we're going to talk about that today. I love popcorn. One of the things about popcorn I never worry about is if I buy popcorn, if it goes bad. And when it goes bad is what I mean is when it doesn't pop anymore. You know how you bought your popcorn and you go to pop it and you have a whole pan of Old Maids? Well, the thing about popcorn is these little kernels here are filled with about 13% moisture. When the moisture dries up, then they don't pop anymore. The moisture is what it does in there. As it heats up, the moisture gets hotter and hotter, creates steam, and then it explodes. That's what causes it to pop open, is the moisture that's in there. So if the moisture dries up, it doesn't do that anymore. A trick you can do if you have old popcorn and you're desperate for popcorn is you can put it in a mason jar with a tablespoon of water and let it sit overnight, and it will restore some of that moisture back to it so it will pop. But if you don't want to do that, I always take my popcorn that doesn't pop anymore and I grind it into flour and use it for all kinds of other things that we're going to talk about in today's show. The first thing we're going to do today is we're going to make a popcorn cornbread. We're going to take these wonderful kernels of popcorn and we're going to run them through a grinder and make cornmeal and make our cornbread with it. Now, generally, most cornbread in America is made from field corn. The difference between field corn is those bigger kernels of corn. It has a lot higher starch in it, and the cornbread is a little bit more crumblier with that. So when I make cornbread, I love to take my popcorn kernels. I always have popcorn on hand. It's just a standard thing at our house. And I just grind it through my grinder. And we just take it and run it through our grinder, whatever grinder you have on the coarsest setting so it will flow through naturally. And you end up with a beautiful cornmeal like this. And it's absolutely wonderful. And I use this cornmeal for anything that calls for cornmeal. I'll take and grind popcorn. It's great. Especially, it's wonderful if my popcorn has quit popping because I haven't used it enough. It's a great way to use that popcorn and not have any waste. So we have our cornmeal. So the first thing we're going to do is we have a cast iron skillet, and we're going to heat the skillet up on the stove with a little bit of bacon grease. Now, if you don't want to use bacon grease, you can use butter. But bacon grease, this is the way my mother made it growing up. And this is kind of the southern style cornbread, and I love it like this. So we're going to take our bacon grease and we're going to put it back on the stove, and we're going to heat it up. And while that's getting really, really hot, we're going to mix up the cornbread mixture, and then we're going to pour it in that really hot skillet, and what's going to happen, it's going to kind of fry the outside of it, and then we're going to place it in the oven and bake it, and it's going to be crispy on the outside and tender and wonderful on the inside. I love making cornbread with this kind of corn. Now, most cornbread recipes also call for white flour. We're not going to use any white flour in our cornbread. In fact, I have found that you can take any other grain that you want, grind it into flour, and add it into your cornbread. I've used many grains, spelt, barley, brown rice. Today, I actually have some fresh ground amaranth to go in our popcorn. It makes just the most wonderful popcorn, and talk about healthy. So we have our cornmeal right there, and this is our amaranth flour. And then right here, we have our baking powder, and then we're gonna add some salt to that. We're gonna mix this up. Okay, and then another bowl right here, we're gonna add 2 eggs, and a little bit of oil, a little bit of oil, a little bit of sugar, and you could use agave in that if you wanted to, that instead of sugar. And then we have our buttermilk. And buttermilk makes a sweet, wonderful cornbread. We're gonna whisk all this together. And in the background, I can hear that bacon grease starting to sizzle in that skillet. So we know that we're getting close. We want that to get hot. We can just move it around and make sure it's just getting all over there. That's beautiful. We want that pan really nice and hot. So now we have these 2 things, and we're just gonna mix them together in here. We have our wonderful mixture there. Beautiful. Take and just kind of mix this up together, just whisk it together. You know, cornbread is just one of those satisfying foods. It's a comfort food. It is so good. My father-in-law loved my cornbread. In fact, he would come over and he would always say as he was walking out the door, "You know what I love about your cornbread? Brad, it doesn't fall apart." He said that every time. And I remember one of the last dinners I prepared for him before he passed away, we had cornbread, and he was walking out the door, and I went, "Oh, he didn't say it." And right before he gets out the door, he turns around and he says, "Brad, you know what I like about your cornbread? It doesn't fall apart." And it's because I use the popcorn in there. It just makes a beautiful, wonderful cornbread. Okay, there we go. We have that mixed up. Now we're gonna put it in our really hot skillet, and it's starting to sizzle. Oh my goodness, it's just beautiful. And that also coats it, and I put it on a little wooden thing here so I don't burn my butcher block. And we're just gonna take this, and it's just gonna sizzle in there. Can you hear it sizzling? Oh my goodness. That's kind of frying the outside of it. It's gonna crisp it up, and then it's gonna bake into there. Oh, that is just so pretty. It's just beautiful. Now, we're gonna place this in a hot oven, and we're gonna bake it until it's a nice golden brown, or until the toothpick comes out clean. And when we come back, we're gonna make a wonderful cracked popcorn salad. So I bet you're wondering, how on earth is Chef Brad gonna get a salad out of popcorn? Great question. We're gonna show you how right now. Popcorn, oh my goodness, it's just such a wonderful, nutritious food. It's so high in fiber, and any way you can get it into your diet, it's gonna be great. But let me tell you how we did the popcorn salad. We took the popcorn, and the only way you're gonna be able to do this is if you have a hand grinder to be able to crack the corn, because we didn't get a cornmeal. We didn't want it to be fine like a cornmeal. We wanted to have a little bit of texture in it and be a little coarse. So we took the popcorn and we cracked it in a grinder, a hand grinder. And then is what we did is we took the corn and we cooked it at a 2-to-1 ratio, and then we chilled it down in the pan, and we have this wonderful, beautiful cracked corn that's gonna make just a fabulous salad. Now, you probably noticed in most of our shows we try to do a salad, and the reason I do that is because we're salad eaters, and salads are a wonderful way to get the nutrition into our everyday diet. And the variety of salads is just endless what you can do when you do salads. There's just so many ingredients. And what I like to do is go to the grocery store and just walk through the grocery store, and if I see an ingredient that excites me, I'll bring it home and I'll create a salad around that ingredient with whatever grain I have cooked up on hand. So to make this salad, let's go ahead. We have right here this beautiful cracked corn. And it's just, oh my goodness, it's just absolutely lovely. Now, the difference between this, remember, and the filled corn is that this corn has lower starches and higher fiber. So it's just very nutritious, and you're gonna love the flavors in there of that. And to this, we're gonna add some things like some tomatoes. Toss those in there. And I have a couple things here. Now I have a fresh red pepper that we're gonna add in there, and I have a roasted red pepper. Now you're thinking, Why on earth would you add a roasted red pepper and a fresh red pepper? Well, there's a reason. I love the crunchy texture of the fresh red pepper because it's going to give this salad a little bit of crunch, a little bit of texture, and I love the flavor of the roasted red peppers. And the color's going to be pretty too. We could have put a green pepper in there. I just did that because I wanted the texture. It wasn't about as much about flavor as about texture. I love things that are kind of crunchy. And then to this, we have a little dish of garlic, elephant garlic. Now this is an elephant garlic clove. They're kind of big. And the thing about elephant garlic is it's a little bit milder than regular garlic. So we took this and chopped it up and we sauteed it in a little bit of oil to even make it a little more mellow. And we're gonna add this to it. And we did it in kind of nice sized chunks. I hope you can see those there. It's not really small because there's gonna be some more texture and flavor there. So we have those, and then we have a little bit of fresh parsley. We're gonna mix all this up, and it's already just beautiful. The yellow background of the corn with all those reds and yellows and greens, it's so pretty. And we have some avocado here. And we're gonna toss the avocado in here and mix this up. And then of course, to every good salad, you need a dressing. And by now you should know that I like very simple dressings. So to this dressing, we're going to put a wonderful lemon balsamic vinegar. Okay, it's just a vinegar that's been infused with wonderful, oh, you can almost drink this out of the bottle. It is so good. And then some flax oil. Remember, we love that flax oil because it binds the oils and vinegars together, and it gives us some wonderful, wonderful nutrition, and then some extra virgin olive oil. The good oils are so important for our body. You know, when they say essential fatty acids, that's what they are. They're essential to good nutrition in our body. When we take these essential fatty acids into our body, they help every part of our body. Our heart muscles work off essential fatty acids. The little coating that covers our cells in our nervous system is coated with essential fatty acids. Our skin, hormones, all of that is directly related to the amount of essential fatty acids we get in our diet. Olive oil and flax oil are great ways to get that essential fatty acid into our diet. So we have those, and that's all we're doing for our dressing today. Very simple, oil and vinegar. Just really simple. And the flavors in the lime and the garlic and everything that we put in there. And you can see again how that bound that dressing together. That's what that flax oil does. It binds the oil and vinegar together so you have a creamy vinaigrette instead of, you know how the oil separates from the vinegar, and those are never very appetizing to me. That's why I love that flax oil. Okay, now we're gonna just drizzle this over the top of it. And the nice golden color there is just gonna highlight or intensify the natural colors of our salad. So we're gonna toss this up in here. That is just so pretty. Oh, it's just beautiful. And of course, we wanna sprinkle a little bit of salt on there and a little bit of fresh ground pepper. We're gonna mix that up. We don't wanna mix it too much because we don't want those avocados to become mushy. And we're gonna take this and we're gonna place it in this bowl right here. Oh, that is so pretty. And then we have some goat cheese, not feta cheese. Feta cheese has a sharper flavor than goat cheese. Goat cheese has a mild, sweet flavor. So we're gonna put some of this wonderful goat cheese on the top. I can hardly wait to taste this salad. And I'm just gonna finish it up with some of these stuffed cherry peppers for a garnish, just over the top of it, just to make it look kind of pretty. Isn't that beautiful? A salad that I am sure you're gonna love as much as I'm going to. Now it's time for the Chef Brad tip of the day. Today I want to take a moment and talk about salt. Salt is probably one of the most important cooking ingredients in the kitchen. A little dash of salt can simply change the flavor from being ordinary to extraordinary. Salt is a very powerful tool in the kitchen. But not all salts are created equal. You want to make sure when you purchase a salt that you purchase a salt that is a real sea salt, not just the label sea salt. You want to make sure that it is a real sea salt, meaning that all the minerals are still there. A lot of the salts they harvest from the sea, they strip off all the minerals, kiln dry it at 1,000 degrees, and then our bodies have no clue what it is. And so that's why we have problems with high blood pressure and we can't handle salts. The real sea salts actually have all the minerals in there, so it's really optimal nutrition for our body. One of my favorite salts is actually called real salt. It's mined out of the mountains in Utah, and you can see all the minerals are in there. That beautiful pink color with the minerals in there, all the minerals are still intact. So you're not only getting the salty flavor, you're getting those essential minerals that your body needs. So next time you choose salt, make sure you choose a good salt that will be good for your body, not just your taste buds. Well, I know we're talking about popcorn, but I could not resist throwing in some beans in this segment. Beans are so nutritious and they're so good for us. You know, they're actually natural toxin cleansers for the body. They cleanse the toxins out of body. They're extremely high in fiber. They are just a great source of protein. They're so good for us, we need more beans. One of the reasons, well, there's a couple reasons we don't eat a lot of beans, but one of the reasons we don't eat a lot of beans is how long it takes to cook them. Well, pressure cooker. Remember we've talked about how important a pressure cooker is? It's extremely important for beans. You can take beans, and it doesn't really matter how old they are, and they can cook in under an hour in your pressure cooker. It's pretty simple. It's a ratio 3-to-1. 3 parts water to 1 part bean. Throw them in your pressure cooker, and anywhere from 25 to 45 minutes your beans are done. How do you tell when they're done? When you open the pressure cooker up, and if the beans are all floating on the top, they're not done. If they're submerged under the water, you know your beans are done. We're gonna do a refried bean to go with our chile relleno. And refried beans, I used to think I was such a poor parent when I'd feed my children bean burritos for dinner. And then I realized how healthy beans were, and I've never worried about it since. A nice big bean burrito with a couple cup of beans in there and a little bit of cheese, that is optimal nutrition for dinner. So we're gonna show you how to make quick and delicious refried beans. I've cooked my beans in the pressure cooker for about 45 minutes. And I drained off a little bit of the liquid. Well, actually, I've kind of let the liquid cook down a little bit with the lid off of the pressure cooker. And then all I'm gonna do is add a little bit of olive oil. Now, traditionally, refried beans are refried in lard. That's why they call them refried beans. They take lard, a lot of it, and get it really hot, and they dump the beans on there, and then they smash them and they stir until all that lard is incorporated into the beans. Generally, when I make refried beans, I add a little bit of olive oil. The beans have been seasoned with a little bit of salt and pepper, and then I take an immersion blender. This is just a blender that can go into the pot and blend. So we're gonna take this, put it into the pot first, turn it on, and then we're just gonna move around, and you can see how we're pureeing those beans up. And it just takes a minute to puree them. Look at that, that's just beautiful. And I don't puree them all because I like a little bit of texture in there of the beans, okay? So once that's done, we just take our immersion blender, set it to the side, put the lid back down on here, and we're gonna turn it down and let it just keep warm until we're ready to use it. Simple refried beans, so nutritious. The ones out of the can are high in sodium and who knows what else they put in this. This is all natural, packed with nutrition for your family. Now let's make our chile rellenos. I love chile rellenos, and we're actually making these with fresh ground popcorn flour. We've taken the popcorn, ground it up, and we've added another whole grain flour in there. You don't have to use white flour. You could use pretty much any other whole grain flour you have on hand. Amaranth, spelt, barley, any of those. Today we have a little bit of spelt flour. So we have that, and we have our baking powder there. We're gonna mix that up, a little bit of salt in there, mix that up, and then to that we're going to add a couple eggs, which we will just whisk in a separate bowl. We're gonna whisk up our eggs and with a little bit of buttermilk. Mix that up, and we're gonna dump this all together and mix this up. And this is gonna be our batter for our chile relleno. Chile rellenos are so wonderful. It's one of my favorite things to eat. And now we're gonna take our chilies, and you can use fresh roasted or canned. Today I'm actually just using canned whole chilies. You can take your whole chili that we have right here, and you can stuff it with cheese. And I'm using just a queso, it's called queso fresco, but you can use Monterey Jack, jalapeno, jack cheese, however you want to do it. We're gonna stuff the cheese right into the chili, okay? And I'm just gonna do a couple of these up to have them. And the chilies just taste great. Just stuff it with the cheese in there, beautiful. Now we're going to take these wonderful stuffed chilies and we're going to dip them in our batter here. And we're just going to drop them down in there and just lift this batter up over it with this nice little whisk. And then we're going to take this and set it right down in the oil. Beautiful. We're going to do another one. And we don't want our oil too hot because we don't want to burn them. We want to make sure we cook them all the way through and that cheese melts just a little bit. And we're not finished yet. It's just going to get better. Take and fry those. Oh my goodness, look how pretty that is. Absolutely beautiful. There we go, there's another one. They cook very fast and that batter just kind of goes up around them, and if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. Nice golden brown, the cheese is going to melt in there, but this particular cheese is not going to be real melty, which is what I like. It kind of holds its shape, but it's still going to have a nice cheesy texture in there. So we have these right here. This one right here looks perfect. We're going to take this off. Oh my goodness, that's so pretty. Take this one off. There we go. And then we have a little bit of enchilada sauce here. We're just going to pour this over the top. Pour this, oh, that's beautiful. And then some cheese over the top of that. And we're going to put that in the oven. And we can actually put our refried beans on it now, which I think I'll do. Just take a nice scoop of refried beans here and put on the side right here. And we'll leave room for some of that salad on the side. And then we're just going to slide these right down here in the oven. And when they come out, they're going to be bubbly and beautiful. And when we come back, we're going to pop some popcorn and show you the finished product. We're popping some popcorn now. One of my favorite popcorn poppers is this stovetop whirly popcorn popper. We have the kernels in there, and as we turn it around, it moves the kernels and it pops. Now this popcorn, we're popping it in some coconut oil, which is very nutritious and tasty. And you know, this takes about 30 seconds to pop. It's a lot faster than the microwave and a lot healthier than microwave popcorn. And here we have our beautiful popcorn, popped in coconut oil. And the last thing we're going to do is finish this off with just a little bit of kosher salt. And kosher salt on popcorn is absolutely wonderful. And the thing about popping it in coconut oil is that the next day it even tastes great. That coconut oil just makes that popcorn. You know how when you make popcorn the next day, you just want to throw it out? With the coconut oil, you're going to eat every drop. Probably won't even last till the next day. I bet you had no idea we could do all these things with popcorn, did you? Amazing. Of course, the popcorn is great. With that coconut oil, absolutely fabulous. And look at our beautiful salad. We're going to serve a scoop of this salad on the side of our wonderful chile relleno and refried beans. And then the cornbread. Look at this cornbread. Beautiful. The texture of that is just absolutely beautiful. And you know that amaranth flour in there, you're never ever going to use white flour again in your cornbread. Absolutely beautiful cornbread. Our chile relleno is placed just a little bit warm here. Let me just pick this up and cut into this and just show you what the inside of that looks like. It's absolutely wonderful. The cheese isn't melted all the way. It's soft. It's absolutely fabulous. You know, mostly chile rellenos are kind of eggy. This chile relleno has a wonderful batter wrapped around it, and it's just, that is fabulous. Oh my goodness, just a moment of ecstasy here. You can taste that wonderful cheese. It's not melted, it's perfect. The batter around it has texture and flavor. It's not just eggy. That's probably one of the best chile rellenos I have ever tasted or even made. I hope you've enjoyed this session of Fusion Grain Cooking as much as I've enjoyed cooking these foods. We'll see you again on Fusion Grain Cooking.